Hey, Nate here from FEgraphics.com. I wanted to make a video and cover installing the larger vinyl decals, specifically more like the 18-inch and larger decals. There's a couple different techniques of installing them, and I wanted to cover at least one of them today. And this can be used for your interior wall decals or your larger decals for the back of your vehicle, window, or anything outside. This technique can also be helpful on curved windows. That top hinge technique in the small decal installation video can be challenging on a curved window because you can't just flip up the hinge as easily. It seems to bend. So I'm gonna cover this real quick. Your decal is gonna come in a box just like this. I'm gonna unbox it just like it would be for you. You got the packing paper to keep everything in there. You're going to get, with 18-inch and larger, you're going to get the included squeegee or application tool, whatever you want to call it. And then your decal is going to be rolled decal side out for shipping. And depending on how long, we're going to use the HH60 here, and depending how long the decal has been rolled, sometimes you can get a little bit of separation of the application tape or the decal. So I'm just taking off the application tool here, your squeegee, and what you want to do is lay it flat. And it might be still curled, but just give it a good, what you want to do is make sure the application tape, just take squeegee from the center out, just to make sure that decal is adhered to the transfer tape. So when you're peeling the backing off, you don't have any problem with it sticking. That can be one issue that people do have. So you're going to do that, and that's pretty much all you need for prep. Making sure that the application tape is on is especially good for these smaller little pieces, especially in the removable vinyl, because those are the ones that seem to stick when you're trying to remove the backing and installing decals on the wall. So next step is putting the decal on the wall. On to the installation of the larger decals, 18-inch and larger decal, or just another way to install. We're going to use what's called the center hinge technique for installing these decals. First thing you're going to want to do is clean your surface. This is an interior wall, but if you're putting this on your vehicle, go ahead and use Windex first time, and then go over it with some rubbing alcohol to get all the residue off. That's going to make your decal last the best and adhere best to the glass, like I did in the previous small decal installation video. But for interior walls, if there's a small texture, that's okay, as long as it's somewhat smooth. Interior wall decals will stick. But what I suggest to do if you haven't washed these walls, if it's not a newly painted wall, go ahead and use a towel, maybe very damp towel, and just wipe it down, just to want to make sure that you don't have any dust or anything like that. That's going to get between your decal sticking to the wall. Next thing you're going to do, you're going to need your decal, your level, and your installation tool or your squeegee. And you're also going to need a roll of, what I use is blue painter's tape is the best for you. I'm going to try to stay out of the way to put this up, but once you find where you're going to put your decal, you're just going to tack it up with two pieces of small tape, which I will do right here. I'm going to level it up by eye, and I'm just going to tack it up. I'll try to stay out of the video as much as possible. Alright, so there it is. So it's tacked up. Now if I want to get technical with it and I want to really level it up, just break out a level, you can align it. And this goes for your vehicle as well. But here's the thing, you're not going to want to use a level on your vehicle because your vehicle might be on a hill. What you're going to want to do instead is find a straight line on your wall or the top of your window, and you're going to measure from a known point, like the wingtips here, because most of my decals are all symmetrical, but find a known point and measure up to the line. this wall, the top of your wall, might not be level. So it's up to you. Do you want it to look level with the wall, or do you want it true to the level to the ground? So either use a bubble level if you want it true to the ground, or you can measure so it looks good to your wall so you're not always thinking it's in a bank. Or you can completely put it in a bank. You want that airplane flying in a bank, install it any way you want. Technique remains the same. So anyway, we're gonna just line this up. I'm gonna do it by eye to the wall. That's just to tack it up. That's a little off. Let me pull it up a little. All right. For our purposes, that's good for now. You check and make sure that that checks with you. Okay. I'm out of the way. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to get your blue painter's tape again, and you're going to make what we call a center hinge. So just instead of hinging across the top in the other vehicle, you're going to hinge down the middle. And I rub that into the wall pretty good because you don't want this coming off in the middle of your installation. That can get crazy. I like to put 2 pieces just for extra security. Offset them a little bit so it actually adheres to the wall. All right, next step. You're going to need a pair of scissors as well. Didn't mention that in the beginning, but you need a pair of scissors. So now I've got my squeegee. I've got my scissors in the other hand or close by. I'm going to peel off this tack up tape. And I'm going to fold this decal back. And then I'm going to remove. Now I'm going to set my squeegee down next to me and my scissors. Because I'm going to remove this decal from the backing. But some of these little points might want to stick to the release paper. You got to make sure that when you're pulling it back, that it stays on there. Okay, I'm going to do that very slowly. Now if I get to something like here and say that 50 cal sticks to the paper, all you got to do is roll it back and press it on and then peel it back again. But the slower you do it, and if you come off at a steep angle like this, if you're peeling it back at like a 180-degree angle, those little pieces are more likely to stick on there. And again, that's why you rub that decal down when it's flat after shipping. So I'm going to get to this part right here. This point I'm going to lean over. Now, you can do this a couple ways. You can either tack up just a tiny corner of this with some blue tape to help hold it, not too much. So then you're going to cut off as close to that hinge as possible part of that decal, or the release paper back there. All right, now that we have that taken off, I can peel this piece back off very carefully. And now I'm going to grab my application tool and very slowly going to hold it out just off the surface. All right, I sort of do it in the middle. I like to do it in the middle. Now it's just barely either touching or not touching. We're going to do what's called the Herringbone Technique. You're going to start squeegeeing from the inside out, slowly overlapping. Inside out. It's called a Herringbone Technique. And then when you get to the end, you can just squeegee straight out. I don't have to squeegee that down because I need to peel that off anyway. And go over that part of the decal. All right, now we're going to do the same thing for the other side. Now we don't need this piece of tape. And we don't need our center hinge anymore because it's already, that sort of is our center hinge now. Peel that off. I'm going to fold this back and use the decal as its own center hinge. Now I'm going to peel this off. I'm going to go slow. Roll down on itself. See? Even with me, I can mess it up too. But it's pretty forgiving And that shows it really helps to have two people to do this, if possible, just in an emergency. Hey, can you grab this and hold this? But I'm going to start again. A little bit in, a little bit up. Start from the inside to go to the outside. And overlapping small sections. The slower the better. You get one shot at this. And then at the end, if you have a straight line like that, you can just bring it over. And what you're going to want to do is squeegee over that whole thing from inside to outside, pressing hard. You want to make sure it sticks to the wall, and when the last step, when you're pulling off that release or the application tape, and I always leave a corner up. It doesn't matter. You're going to have to peel it back anyway. But you want the decal to stick to the wall, not back to the application tape. But I'll tell you what, you get this on here hard enough, it's not coming off. If you have any spots that have little bubbles that you feel, you can use your hand, and I'll show you that at the end. And then you're going to pick a corner. I like to go from an upper corner to a lower corner. You're going to grab that application tape, and you're going to pull it back across itself. Slow. This is the point, is doing this as slow as possible. The slower you do it, because this is trying to pull the decal off the wall, the slower you do it, the better chance of it not pulling that decal off with it. And you can see I picked this decal because there's lots of little pieces that could pull off by themselves. We're just going to do slow technique. You're pulling that decal 180 degrees back across itself. Well, see, this is a very good point. Point of that came right off with it. So here's all I have to do. I'll pull it even off a little more. Get to this point. Okay, the top of that pulled off. I'm just going to push it back on with my thumb. And then slowly peel back down. All right? Now it's stuck to the wall. That's why you go very slow, because if I'd have pulled that all the way down, I could have torn it, and then your decals are ruined, or it's got to tear and it's going to nag at you forever like those small things do for me. You're always looking to see if it's sticking to the paper or not. Perfect timing. Sorry about that. Alright, see? If it can happen, it will happen. Alright, back to this. Alright, very slowly. And there we go. And that is how you do the installation. And there's one last part. Some of these decals, like I said, this part peeled off on its own. If you want this decal to stay on long term, I would literally go over it with your finger. I use my thumb and press along every little bit just to make sure, rolling that thumb, these little points. What it's going to do now, because you've just tried to pull it off the wall by pulling off the application tape, this is your chance to make sure this whole thing gets in any of that uneven part of the wall, and you'll see it start to take, in the shadows that you can't see there, but go over that entire decal, especially the little points, with your thumb to make sure that those stick to the wall. And I've tried to take these off of the wall after doing this, and it's difficult to get these off the wall. But the great thing is, it was hard to get it off. I had to pick at each part and slowly tear off each part. But even when I did, the wall still was undamaged. So I can't vouch for every surface out there, but I've done this on a painted wall. This is a semi-gloss or even a satin, and it seems to work fine. Hopefully this has been helpful. This is center hinge technique. Again, this is Nate from fegraphics.com. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns, and hopefully that worked for you.